Hello everyone, today I'm going to do a video on the upper suspension arm right here. Now the reason why I'm doing this video actually is because a user on RCtech forum by the name of vafactor pointed out, with the title of his message, Video Boo Boo, he says, in the recently posted kingpin shimming video, the upper arm on the car that's being used for the illustration is clearly too tight. Which is correct. Now, I purposely did that in order to, show the kingpin sliding through, because it would be such a hassle if this thing was just flopping around, and it just wouldn't make things easy for me. But he does make a really good point. He says it's clearly too tight. In order for the front suspension to function at its best, the upper arm should pivot on its hinge pin, which is this guy right here, which should pivot on the hinge pin freely on its own weight, like so. He goes on by saying, the hinge pin itself often fits too tightly in the upper arm. Either that or else the stack of caster shims. So these guys right here are caster shims. So he's mentioning that these caster shims may be slightly too thick. Both are common problems on 1/12 scale cars, but thankfully both are fairly easy to address. And so he's going on here and he mentions a few things and what to do. He says to free up the the hinge pin, just run the appropriate size reamer or pin vise drill through the plastic upper arms. So here you have the plastic here. And so from the manufacturer, the fit might be a little bit too tight. And so just run like a reamer that is the appropriate size. You don't want to get a reamer that's way too big, and then that would just generate too much slop in the pin. And he goes on by saying, opening up the hinge pin holes just enough to allow the hinge pin itself to slide through freely, but still without any slop. Okay. To eliminate binding from the caster shims, so these guys here, you can rub just one of the little shims per side, remember to do both sides equally, on an emery board or maybe just a fine piece of sandpaper to reduce its thickness slightly. You just want to do this slightly, and if it doesn't work the first time, just do it a little bit slightly one more time, and then do it a little slightly again if need be. You only want to take a small amount of material off each time. And then once the hinge pin fits nicely and the caster shim stack has been adjusted for the correct dimension, the upper arm should drop nice and free without any binding, and it should be without any slop or excessive play. So thank you, vafactor, for giving that detailed response. And that's how you have a nice, freely moving suspension arm. Okay.